All right, everyone, please be seated. Yes. No, it should be. Are you able to hear now? Testing.
It's not on. Audition is my other one, but I don't hear it.
Okay.
I don't know if it's me or this, that's.
All right. So everyone, because there's some issue with the equipment with the court reporter, I'm going to need everyone to make sure that you speak up. Make sure that you speak in the microphone that she can hear and so that the jurors can hear. All right. Defense, I believe you were on cross.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
You may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. You live with your mom,
Yes,
and you love your mom,
yes,
and she's a good mother.
yes,
Your mother told you that to tell if anyone touched your private parts.
excuse me?
Your mother had told you before to tell her if anyone touched your private parts.
No,
Never told you that?
so like, just out of nowhere, like, hey, only if anybody,
What I'm talking about is prior to September 23rd, 2018, did your mother talk to you about telling her if anyone touched your private parts?
prior to telling her. No, she never asked me, no,
I'm not saying that she never asked you. Did she tell you to tell her if anyone touched your private parts?
no,
Never told you that.
no,
Okay. Your mom makes dinner for you,
yes,
does the laundry for you?
excuse me?
Does she do the laundry for you?
No,
You do your own laundry?
yes.
When did you start doing that?
I started doing my own laundry right after
By
ever
what?
since we moved into the Sierra Royale apartments, I started doing my own.
How old were
laundry.
you when you started doing your own laundry?
12, 11, 11.
Like 2018,
Yes,
about
yes,
after this incident, or?
before this incident.
Okay. But before then, who was doing your laundry? Your mom, right?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Hey,
It sounds coming out of my computer outlet. I'm sorry if you all can hear it. Let me just see if I can. Just finish this real quick. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
and does your mom help you with your homework?
no,
Does your father help you with your homework?
no,
Uh, do you show your grades to your mom,
yes,
to your father?
no,
You show your grades to your mom even though there might not be all A's?
yes,
Okay. And when you're being hurt, you talk to your mom about your pain and you have told her about it, right, before?
Object to relevance, Your Honor.
All right, that'll be overruled. You can answer that question.
can you repeat the question?
Yes, when you get hurt, you tell your mom about it.
Not if it's a big injury, no,
You don't tell your mom if you had been hurt in a big injury? You don't tell her that?
if it's a big injury, yes, I tell her,
Okay. What about if you just scrape your knees? You tell your mom, right?
No,
Okay. You don't seek help from your mom or from your teachers?
no,
You do your own, what do you do when you get hurt like that?
I take care of it myself.
Okay. You put your own Band-Aids on your knee, for example?
Yes,
Okay. But nonetheless, you trust your mom, right?
yes,
Okay. Because she protects you, right?
yes,
And she has never been mean to you, right?
no,
Never hit you?
no,
Never screams at you?
yes,
So sometimes she screams and yells at you concerning not doing your chores, for example?
yes,
Okay. But your mom has never hurt you, right?
no,
And when you go to school, you ride the bus, but you talk to your mom before leaving the apartment, is that right?
do I talk to my mom
Before leaving
here?
the apartment in the morning?
Yes,
And you had your own cell number for quite some time, right?
yes,
And you knew your mom's cell number as well, right?
yes,
Okay. And your mom gets home around 5 or 6 in the afternoon?
5:30.
Okay. And you go to bed around 9 or so?
It depends if I have homework. Most of the times around 11 PM.
11? And you have dinner with your mom?
Yes,
Okay. And you watch TV with your mom?
Object to relevance, Your Honor.
Right, that'll be sustained.
And then you love and trust your mom because she protects you, but you never told her anything prior to September 23rd, 2018?
Object to asked and answered.
Overruled.
yes, but I mean,
Okay. And you go to the store with your mom, is that right?
yes,
Okay, just your mom and you?
sometimes my brother, most of the times my brother, yes, her, I and my brother.
Object to, I mean. Okay. Which
All
one?
right, you may ask your question.
Okay, and you go and also run errands with your mom?
Yes,
Go to the shopping center with your mom?
Object to relevance.
Overruled.
yes,
So you spend a lot of time on the weekends with your mom? Is that correct?
yes,
All right, but you never told her about it?
no, not until September. 2018.
Okay. And you never called your mom, even though you have a cell phone, you never called your mom at work to tell her about it?
Object to asked and answered.
Sustained.
What grade were you in on February 26, 2018?
5th grade.
Fifth grade? And you wrote did you write a letter concerning who do I admire the most?
I don't remember that.
Okay. Do you remember doing that as a homework assignment or?
Just one moment. Council, just a moment. There's an issue.
Oh,
All right. So to the court reporter, can we do
I got
it
it.
without it?
I think, let me just put these, I had the USBs plugged in the wrong.
Okay.
Sorry, Judge. Okay, Judge,
All right, defense. Defense, you may continue.
okay. But you remember doing homework assignments or assignments in school, right?
Yes,
And one of the assignments is who do I admire, question mark. Is that right?
I probably yes.
Okay. And who do you admire? You ask yourself, why do you admire them? I admire my dad. Why, you ask? I admire him because he's a very hard worker. If he hadn't been working, I would not be where I am now. My dad got hit with a golf ball on his neck.
Your Honor, I object to him reading an item that's not in the record.
Sustained,
I'm sorry, George, what was
Sustained.
the objection?
sustained. She said she's objecting to your reading an item not in the record, which the legal objection is hearsay, and I'm sustaining the objection.
Yes, Your Honor. But do you remember saying that?
No,
May I approach you, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm showing you what has been marked as defendant's exhibit number 1 for identification. Is that your handwriting and your name on top of it?
my handwriting changes a lot, so
Is that your name and your handwriting on top of defendant's exhibit number 1 for identification?
my name, yes, my handwriting, I don't remember it never looking like that.
I'm sorry?
My name, yes, my handwriting, I don't remember it looking like that.
Do you read this to your own and tell me if you wrote that?
I don't remember that.
You don't remember saying, who do you admire? And that you admire your dad?
No,
And you wrote this on February 26, 2018?
Object to asked and answered. She doesn't know
Sustained.
what that is.
I move to admit this into evidence, Judge.
Your Honor, object to,
Sustained.
Is the objection sustained?
Yes.
Pass the witness, Judge. No, hold on, just a second. When the two police officers were at your apartment at the dining table, you spoke to those two officers, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, and you told them what were you wearing on that occasion?
Your Honor, I object to relevance of what she was wearing the day she reported it.
Let me
That'll be
rephrase, Judge.
overruled.
Well, let me rephrase, Judge. You were describing the alleged incident and to the officer, is that correct?
yes,
And I'm not talking when you were talking to the officers, but when the incident allegedly took place, what were you wearing?
I don't remember.
Okay. You were not wearing shorts, is that correct?
I don't remember it. The clothing, it's different. It wasn't a certain, it wasn't always a blouse. It was different types of clothing.
All right. What was your father wearing?
Same thing, probably. It was just comfortable clothes.
Remember the color on him?
No,
Do you remember he was wearing shorts or pants?
Object to asked and answered.
All right, that'll be overruled.
it was, again, it was different. Every single time it was different. It could be short, it could have been shorts one day and the next it was pants.
I'm talking about the incident you related to the police officers on September 23rd, 2018. That incident, what was your father wearing?
I don't remember.
Okay. Now, the incident that you were relating to these police officers, that did not take place in the master bedroom, did it?
No,
It took place in the half-open bedroom that was your bedroom, right?
yes, there was
Okay.
two.
Was the incident that you were relating take place in the half-open bedroom?
The half of the bedroom, no.
Okay. But it was in that bedroom.
It was in his bedroom, not the half bedroom. My parents' bedroom.
It was in the master bedroom where your parents slept,
Yes,
not in the bedroom that you occupy.
no, it never happened in my bedroom.
What did you do with the clothes that you were wearing that day?
I don't remember. I don't have most of the clothes at that time anymore. I grew out of it. I don't remember what I did to the clothes.
Well, after the alleged incident, you say take place, what do you do with the clothes that you were wearing that day?
Put it in the dirty bin, like,
Did you watch it?
yes, it was my clothes.
Did you tell your mom about it?
No,
Did you call your mom with your cell phone?
I didn't have a phone at the time.
But you knew your mom's cell phone number, right?
Yes,
Okay, and you did not call her.
no.
Cross the windows.
Mia, have you reviewed the officer's report from when he spoke to you that day?
No,
Have you reviewed any kind of documentation that summarized,
An objective relevance, Judge?
Overrule.
what you told him that day?
no,
So when defense counsel is trying to say that you only said one incident at the time, we're talking 5 years ago, right?
yes,
So if the officer's report indicated that you told him about multiple times as young as age 5, would you have reason to think that you didn't tell the officer that?
no, I did tell the officer that. I did.
And how young? We know you discussed the Mexico incident around your 8th birthday. Was it happening before then?
Yes,
Did the defendant, your father, did he tell you that he had abused you before you even remembered it?
yes,
When did he, or I guess, how did you ask him?
I asked him while he was doing, and he was raping me. I remember crying and trying to push him away at the same time, to asking him why.
Not responsive to the question asked.
Overrule.
I remember asking him why he was doing this. And I remember him telling me in my ear, because he had his head on my shoulder and he was hunched, that he's been doing that to me since I was 5.
Did your father have facial hair back then?
Yes,
And you answered that quickly. How is it that you remember so quickly that he had facial hair back then?
he's always had his facial hair. I
An
remember him
objective
having,
relevance, Judge?
What is the relevance?
It goes to sensory details, Your Honor.
Right, that'll be sustained.
Okay. You mentioned earlier that he would have his head on your head.
I'm gonna object to leading, Judge.
Sustained.
When he would be penetrating you and hunched over, could you feel anything on your face?
No.
Okay. We spoke about the format of, or the layout of the Hidden Meadows apartment. I don't think we actually covered the layout of the Sierra Royale apartments on Rue Maryland, which is where you were living when the outcry happened. Can you tell the jury what the layout was in that apartment?
Yes, so the layout was, it was a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and on one end of the apartment was the bedroom, which was on the left side. So it was my parents' bedroom, and when you go in there, it was the restroom. When you get out of their bedroom, in front of it was the kitchen. To the right was the dining room, and if you keep walking down, it was my room. Outside of my room, on along the wall was my restroom, and in front of it was the laundry. In between the hallways was a fireplace, and there was the living room, and from there out was the entrance.
Did your father ever sexually assault you in that apartment?
Would object to ask and answer, Judge.
That'll be overruled.
Yes,
Is there an incident in particular in that apartment that you remember?
yes.
What happened in that apartment?
It was the day we were moving in. It was me and him. We had 2 trucks at the time.
I'm gonna
And-
object to not responsive to the question asked.
That'll be overruled.
And my mom was at the old apartment getting everything ready for us to pick it up. And we were in the new apartment dropping off the kitchen appliances, I guess, microwave plates. And when we finished, he was in his bedroom, and he told me to go in and just look at the layout of it. And the bed was already set up. And he then told me to take off my clothes and that it'll be quick and to get on the bed. And I told him I didn't want to. And I tried getting out, but he blocked my way.
So how did you try to get out of the room?
I tried I tried kind of like not cornering, but because there was 2 in the bedroom, there's 2 doors, the restroom and the door to get out of the bedroom. He was sort of more close to the restroom door, and I tried leaving, and he puts out his arm and I block it. And he grabbed me by my left arm and pulls me to the bed. And at that point, I gave up. I didn't try fighting.
Do you remember what you were wearing that day?
I remember that day I was wearing shorts and sneakers. I don't remember the shirt I was wearing.
Did he take all your clothes off?
Only my shorts.
And what color was the bed?
It was this, I think it was a teal brownish.
When he was assaulting you that day, did you notice anything about the room or the windows like you had with the previous apartment?
What do you mean by that?
Previously in the last apartment, there was, you said the window that overlooked the
I'm
parking.
gonna object to leading, Judge.
Sustained.
Did you make any observations about the room while he was assaulting you?
Ask and
Yes.
answer.
Overrule.
Okay, what observations did you make?
Well, the window was, it was different and it was on a different area than where it was, you know, it was behind me now. My view at that point was just the restroom door frame and the entrance of the bedroom's door frame.
Was anyone else in the apartment at the time?
No,
Do you remember, other than, well, I'll make it quick, do you remember anything else that he said to you?
I'm gonna object, ask and answer, Judge.
Overrule.
no,
After you moved in, after this assault took place, were you able to better protect yourself in this apartment?
I'm gonna object to leading.
Overrule.
yes.
How so?
I finally had my own room with my own door and it had a lock. So I was able to lock myself when I would come home from school.
And at the time when you outcried to your mother and then the officer, can you approximate how long it had been since he had assaulted you?
It's been around 5 years.
I'll rephrase. September, the day you first told your mother that you were being abused.
Mhm.
Okay. When was, if you remember, when was the last time for that day that your father had physically assaulted or sexually assaulted you?
Ask and answer, Judge.
Overrule.
2.5 months.
And just to be clear, was in the new apartment, was that also a penetration of your anus?
Yes,
And what part of your father penetrated your behind?
his penis.
Do you remember how many times it happened in the new apartment?
More than 3 times.
Back early in defense's questioning, there was some confusion about the first time you went to court. Does the term kids in court sound familiar to you?
Yes,
Was that the program you were attending at the time?
yes,
And were there other victims of it? I'm sorry, were there other children, possible complainants in cases that were with you?
yes,
So there was no discussion of the case.
no,
Did that program help you feel comfortable testifying?
yes,
Did your visits to the district attorney's office help you feel comfortable testifying?
I'm gonna object to leading, Judge.
Sustained.
Um, On direct exam, I asked you about your mother hitting you, and then defense counsel asked you. Did your mother ever hit you?
Once.
Okay,
It was once.
okay. Why did you respond to defense that she hadn't?
I said no, as if in now.
Okay. How often does your brother see your father?
Relevant, Judge?
Response to relevancy.
Your Honor, it's responding defenses has been suggesting that she wanted the defendant to no longer have contact with the family.
All right, objection will be overruled. You can answer the question.
My brother sees my dad 2 or 3 times a month.
What chores do you do now that you did when you lived with your father?
Relevant, Judge?
Overrule.
Clean my room, clean the restroom, take out the trash, clean the dining room and the living room.
Mia, what's your middle name?
Camila,
What do people normally refer to you as?
Mia,
Oh, they do go by Mia. Does anyone call you Kamala?
my mom, family.
Okay. Is that what your father called you to?
Yes.
When your father was sexually assaulting you, do you remember all the details of every instance that he did that?
Can you repeat the question?
Objection,
Sorry.
Your Honor, reading.
Overrule. You want to repeat the question? I think that's someone printing from upstairs.
Hopefully it stops. Okay. Okay. Over the instances of your father assaulting you over the years, are there details that you can specifically remember for every assault?
Yes.
What details?
I remember when he would assault me, he would always like kiss my breasts, and he would try to put his fingers in my front area, and he would try to kiss me, but I would move away.
When he put his penis in your behind, did it always hurt or did it feel good sometimes?
It always hurt.
Did you tell him that it hurt?
Yes,
Ask and answer, George.
Overrule.
Did he ever respond when you told him that?
no,
Did he ever ask if you were okay?
no,
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Defense.
You didn't mention this to a police officer on that occasion on September 23rd, 2018, right?
about the details I just said.
About what you just testified here.
Yes,
You did not mention that you did not mention to the police officer that he had kissed your breast, for example,
no,
right?
no, I didn't mention
Okay.
that.
That he put his fingers in your front area, right?
Yes, I did mention that
To who?
to the police officer.
When you were sitting in the dining room area of your apartment, you told this police officer that your father had placed his fingers in your in your front private area?
No, it was when he was in front of the window,
Who was in front of the window?
the police officer. The day
But on
that
September 23rd, 2018, you told a police officer in your apartment
in the
that he
apartment,
had
no,
placed, excuse me, that he had placed his fingers in your front area of your body.
Object to mischaracterization of her testimony.
All right, that'll be overruled. Ask your question, counsel.
You can answer that.
no,
Okay. So all of this that you're testifying to, you haven't told that to anybody except today, right?
no, I did say,
Well, you talk to the people that you don't recall remembering, talk to a forensic interviewer. And you talk to, right?
yes,
Now you remember?
the forensic interview.
Right,
No, that I still don't remember. But-
okay. But
Excuse me.
you talk to a person about the incident.
Yes,
And that person, and you never mentioned that he had placed his fingers in your front part
yes, I did mention that.
to the forensic interview.
I don't remember the forensic interview, but I do remember saying that he did place his fingers
Well,
in my
let me
front
see if I can
area.
refresh your memory.
So here's the thing.
I
Everyone,
apologize. Yes.
yes, everyone. The court reporter has to hear. She cannot hear if everybody is talking over each other. So let the witness answer. Whoever's questioning, let them ask their questions. And it's making it extremely difficult for the interpreter as well. Ask your next question.
You don't recall the name Holly Wilson?
No,
And you did not tell any of the doctors that he had placed his fingers in your front area, right?
I don't remember any doctor or any specific question.
I'm sorry?
Any specific question, I don't really remember. I know that I told them details. I don't remember what details I told to what doctor.
Well, you never told him that he had placed his fingers in your front area
I did,
to
but
the
I-
doctor.
Object to lack of proper form.
All right, overruled.
I do, but I don't remember in what order or what doctor.
I'm not asking you what order or what doctor. When you were interviewed by the medical personnel or doctors conducting an examination, you only told them about your back part, not about your front part. In fact, they asked you that.
Object to compound question.
Sustained.
Did you tell them?
Objection, Your Honor.
Objection to what?
Sustained. And he just repeated the same question.
You objected to compound questions, not. I'm
All right,
gonna
ladies and
unpack it.
gentlemen, I'm gonna have you all step outside just for a moment in the hallway.
It's all the one. Yeah.
All right, everyone, please be seated. And defense, I'm sorry, it states you're on redirect? Or is
No,
it defense?
He's still on cross, Your Honor.
All right, defense. Sorry about that.
A recross, rather.
Okay, isn't it true that on September 27, 2018, on the forensic interview,
Defense.
the forensic interviewer asked you, what is the other part of that girls have on their bodies besides their butt? Answer, vagina.
I don't remember.
Okay. Question, has something happened to your vagina? Answer, no.
Object to reading, reciting evidence, hearsay.
I'm not reading it.
Sustained.
Isn't it true that the forensic interviewer asked you if your father had touched your boobs? Answer, no.
Your Honor,
Remember
object to
that?
hearsay.
All right, the objection to hearsay is sustained.
Okay. Now, you previously, when I was questioning you, you said you didn't remember anything, in your past, basically, right?
I don't remember anything from the forensic the interview. I don't remember any of that is what I said.
Well, you didn't remember anything concerning the doctor's examination either, right?
I only remember getting examined.
Okay, but not what you told the doctors?
Not what I
Objection
told the doctor.
argumentative, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Now, when the incident that you were relating, was that when did you move into that apartment?
I moved into Sierra Royale the end of my 5th grade year. So around May, April.
Of 2018?
Yes,
Okay. But you didn't mention this to the police officer, right?
Objection asked and answered.
Overrule.
can you elaborate more on that question, please?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. You did not mention to the police officer that when you were moving into that apartment, the same apartment where the police officers were questioning you, when you were moving in, that your father had abused you in the process of moving. You didn't mention that to them.
No, I didn't. I only mentioned what I could remember at the time.
You did not mention that incident, right?
No,
Yes or no?
no.
Okay. Now, if you did not, you testified that your mother was at the other apartment, right? The apartment that you were moving from. Is that correct?
She was always with me, so yes.
Your mother was there when the alleged incident took place in
No,
the
she
new
was-
apartment?
No, she was in the other apartment.
She was in the other apartment.
Yes.
Okay. Did you tell your mother anything about this incident when you saw her afterwards?
No,
Were you crying when you saw your mother after the alleged incident?
no,
Have you changed your clothing after the alleged incident took place?
No, we were still moving.
And you agreed to accompany your father to the new place, is that correct?
Yes, he told me
Okay.
to.
And you agree?
Yes, I had to help him.
And he asked you, or you agree in front of your mom at the apartment you were moving from, right?
Yes,
Okay. You didn't say, no, I have a headache or anything else, any other excuse, right?
no,
Okay. You didn't tell your father, well, I'd rather help my mom.
no,
You are your own free will, you went with your father to the new apartment to help out in relocating.
yes, it wasn't,
Yes or no?
yes,
Now, you have mentioned to several people that your father is a dominant personality, is that right?
yes,
And that he does not let you and your mother go anywhere, is that right?
yes,
And you don't like that, right?
no,
And you feel that your mother needs to be more assertive, right?
Object to relevance.
Relevance.
Well, relevance, Judge, is that she is trying to help her mom. And it also goes to motive.
All right, overrule.
to be more assertive, is that the question?
I'm sorry?
To be more assertive, is that the question?
Yes,
Yes,
okay. Because you didn't like how your father treated your mother, right?
yes,
Okay. And when you first came in contact and you told your mother, and the second time your mother was talking to the police officer outside in her car, with you being in the back, remember that?
she was inside the car. She was talking to the police officer inside the car.
And you were in the back, right?
Yes,
Okay. And she was telling the police officer in your presence what you had told her, is that right?
yes,
Okay. And you heard your mother say,
I'm gonna preemptively object. This calls for hearsay.
Sustained.
I'm sorry, Judge?
Sustained to hearsay.
I'm not offering this for the truth of the matter asserted. I'm just offering it if that's what her mother said in her presence.
Sustained.
Sorry?
Sustained.
Okay. But you were present when your mother was talking to the police officer, right? About what you have told her.
yes,
Okay. And also when you were relating to the police officer in your apartment, and you were talking to two police officers, she was present as well, right?
yes,
Okay. And your mother was also present when you were being examined by the doctors?
yes.
Okay. Pass the witness.
State.
Yes, Your Honor. Yeah, when defense showed you what was labeled but not introduced defendant's exhibit 1, was that something that you wrote?
I don't remember writing that.
Do you believe that you wrote that?
The qualities there, yes, they're true.
Okay. Did you admire your father?
Not fully.
You said on cross just now that you didn't like the way your father treated your mother. How did your father treat your mother?
He treated her in a way where you did what you were told, if that makes sense. She never was able to have her own opinion on things, and if she did, they would argue about it back and forth and never got anywhere to a solution.
Does your mother still talk to him?
Yes.
And this was for Sebastian,
Yes.
for the custody with Sebastian.
Yes.
How old were you in September of 2018?
Ask and answer.
Overrule.
I was 12.
When you outcried to the abuse, did you know exactly what details you would need to tell the officer at that time?
Ask and answer.
Overrule.
Yes.
He would ask you questions.
Yes.
If questions about a particular incident were not asked, would you, at age 12, would you have known to answer those?
I'm leading judge.
Sustained.
No further questions, John.
Defense.
Yes, ma'am. So you're now admitting that you were the person that wrote that document that I was showing you before?
I still don't remember writing that.
Well, you just told her that it looked like your handwriting from before.
Objection, that's a mischaracterization of her testimony.
All right. Counsel, you can ask your question.
Well, isn't it true that the ideas you express in that document, you admit to those?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. The idea about admiring your dad?
Of him being a hard worker, yes, I admire that of him.
And the fact that he had been injured by a golf ball?
I think that was an example of
Okay.
how hard of a worker he is.
All right, but in that document, you don't say anything about any sexual abuse, right?
No,
Okay. And the document was written February 26, 2018.
Objection to lack of personal knowledge. She doesn't remember it.
Sustained.
Now concerning, did you see porn tapes in in the apartment that you occupy with your parents?
Object to relevance.
I'm sorry,
It
could
is
you
relevant.
repeat the question?
Did you see porn tapes laying around in the apartment you occupy with your parents?
I'm so sorry, counsel. Did she see what?
Did she see pornographic tapes laying around?
All right, what's
In-
the relevance?
The relevance that she might have inadvertently seen them?
All right, that'll be sustained.
That's the witness, Judge.
State.
No further questions.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
Subject to recall, Judge.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state or the defense. Someone will call you if you're needed back to testify. Do you understand?
yes, Your Honor.
All right, so just wait right here. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have you go back to the jury room. That's one matter that I need to take up outside your presence. So we will be back at 3:35. It may be sooner than that. But remember what I said, you're not to discuss in your own mind or with each other what you've heard. You're not allowed to do any investigation work, or if there's media, you're not allowed to look at that. Everything that you need to know about this case is to come from inside the courtroom. Does everyone understand? All right, thank you, everyone. Please rise for the jurors. Sorry, I moved all of that.
You did. I think it's disconnected.
Oh, is it disconnected or no?
No, it did.
Okay,
I'm
awesome.
hoping that thing just gets disconnected.
Okay, I'm sure it's a good shot. Let's move the mic as you need it.
All right, state, who's your outcry witness?
Officer Feliciano
right,
is one
can
of
you-
them.
Can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record, please.
Deputy Dan Feliciano, Fair County Sheriff's Office.
All right. And so my understanding, this is the outcry witness, is that correct?
There's multiple, Your Honor.
All right, well, ask the witness whatever questions you wish to ask.
Okay. Deputy Feliciano, on September, I believe it's 23rd of 2018, do you recall being flagged down by a Maria Escalante?
Yes,
And on that day, how many times were you flagged down by Miss Escalante?
twice.
Okay. The first time she flagged you down, what was the nature of her, I guess why she was trying to get your attention?
She had questions about possibly separating from her husband. She was trying to get some advice as far as how could she go about it. I don't remember the exact questions. I didn't really answer anything. I just said that she would have to consult with an attorney.
Okay. And what was her demeanor when she stopped you that first time?
And she was calm. She didn't seem like anything was going on. She didn't specify exactly what, just that there was issues.
Okay. And then after that conversation ended, did you continue with your patrol?
Yes,
And how long from that first encounter till when she flagged you down a second time?
it was several minutes, not very long at all.
Would you say less than 10 minutes?
Yes.
And when she flagged you down that time, what was her demeanor like?
She flagged me down. She was talking to her daughter still, and
Can we go off the record for a moment? So my understanding, this is about an outcry. So
Yeah.
can we get to the outcry?
Yeah,
This-
I'm trying to just solidify the fact that there was obviously a very quick disclosure made, so not the full disclosure in the time period, but
No, I just need, this is
Okay.
the outcry. I just need, or the law is for the outcry hearing, it's about the outcry. So
Okay.
the side, what the mother told him, no. If we could just get to the outcry, please.
okay. Had you spoken to the child the first time?
the first time, no.
Did you speak to her the second stop?
Yes.
And why did you speak to her?
The mother had said that she had made an allegation that her father was touching her inappropriately. So I did ask her, and she did state that he did touch her inappropriately in her private areas, private parts.
Which private areas did she tell you that he touched her?
It wasn't until later on when we talked to her, she said that he touched her inappropriately and that it was with his penis against her where she poops from.
Okay. And did she also tell you generally that
I'm
he,
sorry, excuse me, the interpreter's asking for everyone to speak up. So sorry, this is the interpreter. I'm not hearing the witness very well. You're just speaking.
So please, everyone, speak into the microphone and speak like you're outside, please. Sure.
His answer, but I didn't get you.
okay, I don't remember what my next question was. Oh, did she also say just generally that he touched her private parts?
Objection leading.
All right, that will be overruled.
You can answer it.
He said in general that he touched her private parts, didn't specify which one initially.
Okay, and then did you ask follow-up questions to try to ascertain where he may have touched her?
Yes. And I asked her, he said, how much I could say. He said that, she said that while she was laying down, that she felt pain, is what she described as a touching was pain to her back, which she described as where she poops from.
Okay. And this is an outcry hearing, so we're trying to determine what you can say, so you can say anything she told you that day right now. Okay, so what did she tell you that he did to her?
He held her down forcibly with his hands on her torso and went through the back for 45 minutes. Those are her words. And when I asked, she clarified what through the back was her area where she poops, and what was used was what she said, his penis.
Okay. And did she tell you how many times he had done this?
She said it happened twice since May, I believe,
Okay.
but she didn't give details on the prior time.
Okay. Did she tell you how long, from what age, he had been sexually assaulting her?
She said that according to her, he told her that this has been happening since she was 5 years old.
Did she indicate to you what she was wearing during one of the assaults?
Yes,
What did she tell you she was wearing?
she's wearing a blue and aqua shirt, pink stretchy shorts, and panties. And that was the most recent time.
Did she tell you if what led up to the assault, what she was doing right prior to the assault?
She said that she was asleep in her room.
And did she say what happened after that?
She said he came into the room and told her to take off her clothes. And she said no. She said no for him to get out of the room and leave her alone. And then he told her again. She kept saying no. She said at one point he got up and tried to push him out of the room, but she was not able to. And he again told her to take him off, and she refused and asked why. He said, "Come on," as in trying to talk her into it. She refused again, telling him to leave. At which point in time, she says that he forcibly threw her onto the bed and started taking her clothes off.
Did she say where she felt pain from?
She said the pain that she felt was to her back, which is where she poops from. That's where she felt the pain.
Okay. Did she say what she did right after?
She said she laid in bed for a while. I believe she said 30 minutes, staring into the ceiling, thinking to herself, why is this happening to her? And then after that, she took a shower.
What was her demeanor like when she was telling you this?
When initially she was crying a little bit, once we were talking at the apartment, she seemed calm and just trying to give us as much information as she could.
Did she tell you what, if anything, she does to protect herself?
She said she locks herself in a room and hopes that nobody will come into the room.
Did she tell you why she chose to outcry on that particular day?
On that day is because I believe what she stated was that she saw that her mom was scared and she was trying to get advice on how to get out of that marriage. So she figured or thought that this was the right time for her to come forward and say what's been going on, in hopes that that'll help her finally leave or separate from each other.
Did she indicate to you whether she had told anyone else?
She said she did not tell anyone, that she talked to a counselor at one point in time, but decided against saying anything.
Right, no further questions, Your Honor.
Defense.
Yeah, a few questions, John. So when you encountered these, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, when you encountered the people, she was with her mother, correct?
correct,
Her mother was in the same car.
correct.
And you had met her mother about 15 minutes before when she was talking about this divorce issue.
A little bit less than 15, yes.
And then they came back and the mother indicated that Mia had told the mother something about a sexual assault, correct?
Correct,
Which is why you questioned her about what happened, right?
correct.
So you knew when you spoke to her that she'd already spoken to her mother. Right?
Did Mia had talked to her mother?
Yeah, that Mia had told her mother something that caused her to.
Correct, the second time, yes.
Okay. So. Based on that, you would agree that. You were not the first person she told, you were the second person she told, correct?
At that time, yes.
Pass away.
All right, any further questions?
No further questions for this one.
All right, thank you. You can step down. All right, who's the other outcry person? Are they here?
Maria Escalante, and I think it would be beneficial for both.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, just go in one of the witness rooms.
Yeah.
Just go up on this.
All right, if you'll take a seat here, please. Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand, have a seat. State your name for the record.
Maria Cristina Escalante.
All right, please make sure you keep your voice up because the court reporter needs to hear and the interpreter needs to hear.
Okay.
All right, state.
Good afternoon, Ms. Escalante. Going back to the day when all of this was reported to Leon Valley Police on September 23rd of 2018. Can you tell me, prior to that day, had Mia ever indicated to you that her father had sexually abused her?
Good afternoon. No,
Okay, you may have to speak a little louder.
I do have a soft voice. I'm sorry. No,
That's
I do. I
okay.
have it.
I do too.
No, she had not stated nothing related at all before September 23rd, 2018.
Okay. Do you recall flagging down an officer Feliciano that day?
Yes,
How many times did you flag Mr. Feliciano down that day?
as I was going down the street, I just saw him. He was parked. So I kind of like waved at him and said, I have a question. After that,
Excuse me. The question is, how many times did you flag him down? That's the
on the
question.
road, it was twice. That day, twice.
Okay. Between the first time you talked to him and the second time you talked to him, did you learn any information about Mia?
Learn? What do you mean?
Did Mia tell you anything after the first officer or after the officer left the first time?
No, I was in shock. After when she said, the officer, I believe it was Mr. Feliciano. I with him, I asked him a question, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, it's better for you, Mrs. Escalante, to ask an attorney the questions that you asked
Yeah.
me.
Unfortunately, Your Honor, Jack, I can't hear.
All right, could you please speak into the microphone
Can you
and
hear me
speak
now?
up? Yes.
Much better.
Okay, sorry. Okay. So going back to the question was,
Let me re-ask it. So we know the first stop you asked you asked Deputy Feliciano about just the mechanics of a divorce.
Yes.
Right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And then Officer Feliciano left.
Yes,
And then you felt the need to flag him down a second time.
yes. Correct.
Why did you flag him down the second time?
My daughter was sitting on the back seat that day. And I didn't even know what was going on with her or something, you know. I was talking to Mr. Feliciano during the whole time and on the driver's side. When he left, he said, Mommy, do you remember what the counselor said that day, the first day that I went? I'm like, what? She said, if somebody touches you, you have to make a report. I said, yes. And she said, my daddy did that to me. And I was like, what? Mr. Feliciano at that moment, he was driving and there was a stop. He turned. I was gonna go to the same direction because I was on my way to my mom's house. He drove a couple of feet and then I guess because it's Leon Valley, he was on the area. He kind of like did a U-turn to turn. So I was going this way. He's going this way. So I waved at him. That's when I said, please stop. And he went back to the same street where I had asked him. And I said, you have to hear what my daughter said. It's saying, but that's all she said. And that's what happened. I'm like, what? And so that's when I told him, Camila told him what you just told me. I call my daughter Camila. Her first name is Mia, but we call her Camila. I got home, the middle name. And that's when she said it again. And he's like, I asked, do I have to report this? What do I do? He's like, do you want to? And I'm like, I think I have to, right? He said, I think so. He said, I have to call somebody else.
All right, sorry to
Okay,
interrupt,
okay,
but
I'll-
is this,
I'll
can we
stop.
get,
Yeah,
to the outcry? Because this is an outcry hearing.
I was just about to stop her, Your Honor.
All right,
So-
thank you.
So just to be clear, before Deputy Feliciano came the second time and then interviewed her as to what happened,
He didn't interview her. All he said was, he said, I'm not an expert at this. I have to call somebody else.
okay.
I'm gonna call somebody else that is an expert. I
Oh,
don't know
okay,
any problems.
I'll.
Just one
I'll
second.
stop.
Excuse me. Can you mute us?
Okay. Miss Escalante. What was the first time that she told you that she was sexually abused, and what did she say then?
First time was on September 23rd, 2018. And that's all she said to me that day.
That she was touched?
Yes, my dad did that to me and I made that report that day.
Did she indicate to you? Where's that? Did you ask her what she meant by touching her?
No, ma'am, I didn't. I didn't want you to hear details, to be honest with you, because I was in shock. Like,
Okay, what did you believe she meant by touching her?
just when she said by touching her, to me, it was like, that's your father. What do you mean?
Okay, and that's when you flagged down the officer.
Yes, yes, like, I didn't know what, I was in shock, you know, when you hear something like that, it's like, what do you do?
Okay, and were you there when she then went into details about anal penetration?
Yes, I was there.
What did she say?
We were at home at that moment. There was another officer. I don't remember his name with Mr. Feliciano. They started asking too many questions. To be honest with you, I don't even remember the whole conversation.
Okay, I'll stop, Your Honor. I think I've covered the fact that it was only very brief to her, and then the details were actually parsed out with Deputy Feliciano.
Any
Well-
questions, defense?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. So, we're just gonna talk about the second time you spoke to Officer Feliciano. Well, actually, before that, you spoke to Mia. And Mia, when Mia told you that she had been touched, you didn't understand that. Well, let me go back and withdraw that. Tell me exactly what Mia said. Exactly what you remember Mia saying.
So that day, she said, this is exactly what I remember that she said, Mommy, if you're afraid my dad is gonna take the kids away from you, he's not gonna be able to remember what the counselor said. She said, my daddy touched me. That's what I remember. I guess her,
Okay, stop right there. So what did you say to her?
I said, what? Are you serious? And Mr. Feliciano was already driving away, so I drove to follow him, but then he,
Okay, let me stop you right there. So when she said, he touched me, what did you understand that to mean?
to me, it was just inappropriate. How can a father touch a daughter like that?
Well, when you say touch, he touches, I touch my daughter every day. Did you
Okay.
understand touching to
Right,
mean
yes.
something other than touching?
I'm gonna
His
explain
head,
that,
her
yeah.
head or something?
So I had taken my daughter to see a counselor. So on that very first visit, the counselor told her, Mia, I want you to understand that I'm gonna be counseling you, but if there's some things or I hear something that I have to report to your mom, I have to report it. If there's something that I have to report about your mom, I have to make that report.
Well, I understand you felt you needed to make a report. The reason you needed to make a report was because you believed that Mia was telling you that she'd been sexually assaulted by your husband, correct?
Right, because the counselor said if somebody, for example, if somebody touches you inappropriate or something, I have to report that to your mom and about your mom. So that's what I understood in my mind to answer your question.
Right.
When she said,
So when she referenced it to the counselor, you
Remember,
understood that
she
what she was
said-
telling you was that it was a.
All right, so
sexual-
everybody, you're talking over each other. And again, this is an outcry hearing. Could somebody please ask this witness, what did the complainant allegedly tell her? Honestly, I'm supposed to be making a ruling on whether she's an outcry witness or not. I still don't know what she said to her. Did she just say he touched her allegedly? Is that what she said? What statement is she saying that the complainant said? Could somebody please address that? If you want to. If you don't want to, then I'll make my ruling without it being addressed.
Well, that's what I'm getting to, Your Honor, because, and I asked her what she said. Now, what she said is touch. However, she said it in the context of her counselor telling her and her mother.
All right, just ask your question.
All right. So you understood, am I correct in thinking that you understood that when she said touch, she meant sexually touch, sexually assault?
I didn't even think sexually, I just meant like touch inappropriately.
Well,
So I didn't, it could be, I don't even know, then I heard at home details, but that's all I heard. And that's when I said, I waved and I had to report it. I reported. That's when I spoke to Mr. Feliciano
you
the
were-
second time.
so you've pulled over Officer Feliciano because you understood that the touching that Mia was talking about was touching that was what the counselor had referenced, inappropriate touching under, as a sexual touching, correct?
Yes, because there was other red flags, things that were happening between me and my husband. Things were not right, so all that kind of like.
All right, any other questions for this witness about the outcry statement?
No, you're not.
All right, thank you. The rule has been invoked. You can't discuss your testimony with anyone.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, everyone, based upon the law and based upon the testimony that you all both obtained from this witness, she is not an outcry witness. Because what she has testified to is not, as far as the law is concerned, the way I interpret the law, this is not a suggestion of some type of inappropriate touching or some type of crime. So she's not an outcry witness. The outcry witness is the officer who previously testified.
Okay, and that's fine, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Deputy Laura, can you let them know that we are ready to proceed?
Well,
Oh my God.
I mean, what I'm saying. No, I know that.
And then, of course, if anybody wants to call her for whatever purpose y'all wish to call her for, of course, you're more than welcome to do so, but she's not an outcry witness unless there is something else that the court has not heard.
I agree, although I think it's.
I agree. I felt it was important for you to hear her because part of it is the reliability. And there was something told to the mom, and I wanted you to understand that it was not the significant details that the officer got.
All right, thank you. We're ready.
All right, for the jury.
Everyone, please be seated. State, call your next witness. State your next witness.
Deputy Feliciano.
All right, if you take a witness stand, please. And officer, you're still under oath. If you'll have a seat, make sure you keep your voice up so the interpreter and the court reporter can hear and the jurors can hear. If you'll state your name for the record. All
Deputy Dan Feliciano.
right, state.
Deputy Feliciano, how are you currently employed?
I'm employed with the Bexar County Sheriff's Office.
And were you employed with the Bexar County Sheriff's Office on September 23rd of 2018?
No,
Where were you employed?
the Leon Valley Police Department.
And on September 23rd of 2018, were you on duty that day?
Yes,
And let me go back. You work at Leon Valley Police Department?
right.
Are you a licensed police officer or were you when at that time?
Yes.
And what sort of training do you have to go through to be a police officer?
You have to go through what's called the basic peace officer course, consists of, I believe, 673 hours of training. Anywhere from penal code, code of criminal procedures, family code, assaults, DWIs, traffic, whole bunch of required courses.
And on the 23rd of September 2018, you were on duty that day?
Yes,
Was there anything on that day? Did you have to take a report that day for sexual assault?
yes.
Do you recall how that came about?
Yes, I was patrolling, just routine patrol, driving around my patrol car. in the area of Evers and Rue Francois. I was flagged down by a vehicle, I believe it's Suburban, female driver asking for. I was patrolling the area when I was flagged down by a female who was driving a SUV.
And you recall about what time of day that was?
Around 11 in the morning. 11 a.m.
And what happened at 11 a.m. that morning?
I was flagged down by a female who stated that she wanted,
Here's Sarah.
Overruled.
she was asking for advice on her marriage and how to get out of it.
Mhm. And what did you advise that person?
I advise you have to seek a legal professional attorney in regards to that, and I couldn't give her much information.
And once you concluded, how long did that conversation last?
That one was less than 2 minutes, probably, and counting.
Once you concluded that conversation, what did you do next?
I stayed in the area, I went back to patrol. Several minutes passed by and I was flagged down again.
Who flagged you down this time?
It was the same female.
And did she have something to say?
Yes,
When you saw her how was her demeanor the first time?
she was calm.
When you saw her the second time, she flagged you down, how was her demeanor this time?
She was concerned. She was kind of like in disbelief. I want to say she was talking to her daughter who was in the back seat. And she was turned back, looking at her. I don't remember her exact words, but she was like, "Tell me it's not true," just kind of like in shock.
Did you observe the demeanor of the girl in the back seat?
She was talking to her. I don't recall at that time what her demeanor was.
And so after after the person who flagged you down told you those things, what did you do next? What do you do as a police officer?
So I believe when she talked to me initially, I was still in my patrol car. So once she had said that the daughter had made an allegation that she had been touched inappropriately, I parked and got off and walked up to the vehicle and now engaged in conversation to figure out what exactly happened.
And when you're getting this information, is this something that you it's a crime? What was reported to you?
Correct. I just needed further details as far as what exactly happened.
And when a citizen reports a crime to you, you would what do you need to do next?
Got as much information as possible to generate a report and see if an offense had been committed.
And did you do that in this case?
Yes.
How did you gather information?
By talking to both of them, initially there where they made the outcry. And then later we went to the apartment and got more details.
And at the apartment, were there other officers involved with your agency that went there?
There was another officer who was there. He's no longer employed as a police officer.
Okay. But it wasn't just you.
No.
Okay. And when you spoke, you interviewed what was the name of the daughter that she was talking about?
Mia?
Mia. And did they say when Mia made her outcry, did she say who she was making her outcry against?
Her father?
And do you know what her father's name is?
I believe it was Juan. I don't know
And
his complete name.
at any point did her father show up or appear in your presence?
He did show up. Once I was talking to them on scene on Rue Francois. He stopped by. He said he saw them as well as the police there and stopped to see what was going on.
And is the father of that girl in the courtroom today?
Yes.
And could you identify him by an article of clothing?
He's wearing a suit and tie.
Let the record show the witness identified the defendant. So you talked to the daughter, Mia.
State.
Something a little bit more unique.
You said he's wearing a suit and tie.
Oh, sorry. Could you say something a little more unique?
So suit, purple tie, boots, look like some sort of animal skin. Light colored, white, beige color.
I think that's distinct enough that he has identified the defendant for the record. And so you spoke to Mia, correct?
Correct.
What did you ask Mia?
At the apartment,
Let's start with the second time they flagged you down. You talked to the mother. She told you that you probably needed to hear something. At that location, did you talk to Mia?
yes.
What did you ask her?
I asked her what had happened, and she said that she was touched by her father in her private parts.
And did she go into detail as to exactly how that happened?
On there, she was vague, just that she was asleep in her room, that he had walked in and touched her. She had told him no, but he didn't listen. I believe at that point in time, that's as much detail she got into it.
Did she talk about the clothes she was wearing at that point?
Not until we got back to the apartment.
So basically, the brief summary you gave is the information you obtained from her at the scene.
Correct.
And with that information, did you think you needed to further investigate?
Yes.
And you did that. Where did you do that?
We relocated to the apartment.
And at the apartment, did she give you additional details about did she give an additional outcry about the assault?
Yes.
And did she tell you what she was wearing at that point?
Yes.
And what was that?
She said she was wearing a blue and aqua colored t-shirt with pink stretchy shorts and panties.
And when she told you she was wearing that, was she referencing a specific instance?
And she said that was what she was wearing the day that she was assaulted, allegedly.
Did she say that she had been assaulted? Did she say that that was the only time?
She said it happened twice within several months, I believe since May of that year.
So she told you about how many incidents?
She said that it happened twice there, but she didn't give details on the second time, just the first, which was the most recent one.
And did she say that there had been other instances other than the 2 times she reported to you?
Objection here, leading your own.
That'll be overruled.
You may answer.
She said that according to him, that he told her that it had been happening since she was 5 years old, but she didn't recall details on those.
And for the incident that she did give you details about, where she told you what clothes she was wearing, the most recent incident, I believe we referred to it as, did she tell you what she did after the assault?
Yes.
What did she say she did after the assault?
She said she laid in bed for approximately 30 minutes, staring at the ceiling, and she was thinking to herself, why was this happening to her? And after that, she went to take a shower. She said she got out of the shower, went back and laid in bed and cried.
And I know we talked a little bit about how it started. So what did she say she was doing when it started?
She said she was in bed sleeping in her room.
And what did she say he did when she was doing that?
That he walked into the room and told her to take off her clothes.
And did she object?
She said no. She said to leave her alone and to get out of her room.
And did he do that?
No.
Did she say that she tried to fight him at all?
She said that she got up and tried to push him out of the room, which he was standing between the bed and the doorway. And she said that he was too strong, she was not able to.
And at that point, what did he do?
I believe he told her again to pick up her clothes. She again told him no and told him to get out. She asked him why he was saying that. And she said that he said, come on, like, as in, listen to him. And she said she told him no again to get out of her room, to leave her alone. And at that point in time, she said that he forcibly threw her onto the bed and started taking her clothes off.
And did she say what he did next?
She said that he was able to take her shirt off. And she said at that point in time, she kind of blanked out and blacked out.
Did he say anything about, did she say anything about him touching her when that was happening?
She said that she could feel his hands holding her down by her torso.
And what, if any, pain did she complain about?
She said she felt pain, which she said was from his penis, and she said it was through the back, which she described as where she poops from.
And did she say what she did after that?
After the pain?
After the whole situation with him had ended?
Yeah, once it had ended, that's when she laid in bed, looking into the ceiling, thinking, why is this happening to her? And then she took the shower.
Okay. And did she say how long the assault lasted?
She described it as 45 minutes.
Did she say whether her mother was present in the apartment when it happened?
No, she said that when it would happen, it would be when she was at work, the mom, and they were home alone, her and the father.
Did she mention any tactics she used, any way to keep the father away, any strategies like that?
What she said she would do is she would lock the door in hopes that he wasn't able to come in.
And when she's at school or when she's interacting with other people in life, does she say that she's forthcoming about it with other people?
No, she said she didn't want no one to know and she just wanted everything to be normal.
And does she what, if any, does she think it's going to keep happening every time it happens?
I don't object to that, Your Honor. Call it some speculation and it's,
Sustained,
Well, Your Honor, I believe you may have personal knowledge of that.
sustained.
Did she tell you why she never told anybody?
I know she said she didn't want no one to know. Can I review my report?
Yeah, would it refresh your memory to be able to review your report?
Yes.
And yes, you may review your report.
Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
Did she say why she wouldn't tell people?
The only thing that I recall was that she just wanted it to be normal. She didn't want no one to know.
Okay, and did she say from the date when she made the report to you, going back to when the incident occurred that she was reporting to you, did she say how long it was between those two dates?
It's that it approximately happened a month before she made the outcry.
Let's talk about just some administrative things related to your duties. When you were working for Leon Valley PD, and did you have any cameras issued to you?
Yes, I had a body camera.
And at that time, was Leon Valley PD using the same body camera vendor that they're currently using?
No, at that time, I believe it was Coban that we were using and they transitioned to Axon.
And if you know, was any video purged or lost in that transition?
My understanding, when there was a transition from one to another, the video was not transferred over.
And when we talked about at the apartment, there was another officer there you mentioned is no longer an officer with is no longer an officer. If you know, do you know why that person is no longer an officer?
I know he was involved in some sort of criminal act outside of, not on duty, but off duty. I don't know the exact nature of it.
No further questions, state will pass witness.
Defense?
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. Officer Feliciano, my name is Brian Kimbrough. I have a few questions for you. So when you first contacted the mother and the complainant, you were by yourself, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And other than the report that you prepared in this case, have you reviewed any other documents to prepare for testifying today?
No,
And you testified that there is no body cam. You had a body cam on at the time, right?
correct.
And so that body cam taped everything that was said in this, all of these interviews, correct?
Correct, my part, yes.
On your part. And that body cam, you looked for that body cam and that body cam is no longer available, correct?
Correct. It was, we reached out to Leon Valley and they said that they didn't have it.
And you testified that there were another officer that was present at the apartment, right?
Correct,
Was that Officer Uciel Hernandez?
correct.
And was he the only other officer that was present at this interview in the apartment?
Correct,
So just the two of you in the apartment with the complaint.
correct.
Do you know if Officer Uciel Hernandez had a body cam?
I believe he did.
Did you attempt to determine if his body cam was available?
I did not inquire about his.
You don't know whether that's available or not.
I do not.
Now, so on the day we're talking about, September 28th, I believe, the 28th, 23rd, excuse me. You were on patrol. You were on Rue Francois. Is that correct?
Correct,
Okay. And so you were flagged down by a woman, and she wanted to ask you about a legal question, right?
correct.
And has that ever happened to you before, that a person flagged you down to ask about a divorce?
A divorce now.
So this is kind of the first time that somebody went to that stage to actually flag you down for that.
For that reason, yes.
And do you remember what, did she indicate that she was having marital problems?
Yes.
And she was concerned about what, the lease to her house?
I believe that was part of it.
And you told her that, you can't help her, correct?
Correct. I couldn't give her any sort of legal advice.
Okay. And so, then when you stopped talking to her, did you drive away?
Yes.
And she drove away, or did you see her drive away?
I believe it's the same area. I think she stayed there. I drove off. I was in the same general area. I didn't leave that area. I just kind of went around the corner and down another street.
And so did she follow you?
No,
So you went right back the same way you'd come?
correct.
And she was still parked in the same place?
Yes,
And then she flagged you down again?
yes,
And when she flagged you down again, her demeanor had changed, right?
correct.
Was she withdrawn? She was upset, correct?
Correct.
She was crying, is that correct?
Yes,
And so then after you spoke to the mother, now, when you first came upon them the second time, Mia was in the back seat,
correct.
but you didn't get a good look at Mia as far as her demeanor, correct?
Correct.
So you spoke to the mother, and then when you spoke to Mia, did you speak to her like through the window of the car?
Correct. I believe the mom rolled the window down in the back.
So you spoke to her just through the window.
Correct.
And so, and by the way, have you had any specialized training in forensic interview technique for sexual abuse complainants or victims?
Yes, we have, I don't remember exactly the class, but we do have classes involving sexual assaults, child abuse, stuff of that nature.
And this was when you were with Leon Valley?
Correct.
And how long did this class last?
I couldn't tell you. It was probably, most of it was during the basic peace officer course.
I mean, are we talking about a day, a week? I mean, how long was the class? An hour?
Several hours minimum. I couldn't tell you exactly how many.
So when you say class, you mean it was part of a class. It was several hours in the course of your training.
Correct.
That's the totality of what you've been trained to do as a forensic interviewer in sexual assault.
Correct.
So you first talked to her through the window. And at that point, she indicated that the suspect, which was the Mr. Garcia Sanchez, had touched her private parts,
Correct.
and that this happened a month before.
Correct.
So then you began to ask her questions, correct?
Once we went to the apartment, I asked her more questions. Oh, I did ask her on scene, yes.
So you asked her some questions after that, and then she answered those questions, right?
Correct.
And do you have a specific knowledge as to what questions you asked her?
I initially asked her what happened, and that's when she explained it and summarized it.
And I mean, did you ask her, was that the exact wording of what you asked, what happened, or did you ask her more than that?
I believe I asked her what happened in reference to where she was touched in the private part. So I asked her what happened as far as how it happened. I can't tell you the exact wording.
Okay, so you don't recall the technique that you used to get her to answer more questions, right?
Correct,
Okay. But you asked her more questions.
correct,
Okay. And then she indicated at that point that it happened twice, right?
correct,
She said it happened, that she had a memory of it happening 2 times at that point, correct?
correct.
Now, at this point, you wanted someone else to come besides yourself, right?
No, I believe the other officer arrived on scene as I was talking.
Okay, so did you express to anyone that was present, like the mother or anyone else, that this was something that you didn't feel because of your training competent enough to continue, you thought you needed someone else to kind of assist you?
No,
You didn't say that.
no,
Okay. So you didn't ask for Officer Hernandez to come, is that correct?
correct,
He just showed up.
correct.
Did he have any training that you know of in forensic interviewing with victims?
I can't comment on his training. I do know he was there longer than I was.
But you don't know about his training.
Correct.
Were you aware that Officer Hernandez is in federal prison now?
No,
So you went to the apartment. This was their apartment?
correct.
And you continued to question her about what happened, correct?
Correct.
How long were you at the apartment?
I couldn't say time. I would have to guess it.
How much you
At
guess? I mean, were you there longer than an hour?
I don't believe it was close to an hour, maybe.
Good. And at this point, who was present? You were present, and Hernandez and Maria and me.
Correct. And the father had gathered some items and he left the apartment. So he was there initially and then he left.
So were you and Mia in a room together?
I believe we were all at the table, I believe is where it happened.
So you, Hernandez, Mia, and her mother were all sitting at a table?
Correct. The mother, I don't remember if she was sitting down or she was standing nearby, but she was in the area.
Okay. But as far as the questioning goes, were you the questioner or was Hernandez the questioner?
I was.
So, to your knowledge, Hernandez never asked any questions at all?
He may have assisted me as well as, or asked her this, or maybe he jumped ahead of me and asked the question. I couldn't tell you if it was one question or another. But I was, I guess you can say, the lead person on it.
Okay. So, you would agree that the first time you talked to Mia, she did not mention anything about being penetrated. She said that she'd been touched, correct?
Correct.
And the second time you spoke to her, she said that it had happened twice, correct?
2 separate incidents.
Yeah. But you didn't mention anything else about beyond being touched. On the second time you spoke, right?
She just mentioned pain.
But you didn't mention anything about beyond being touched, correct? Inappropriately,
She said there was no penetration.
right?
I'm sorry, she said, well,
That she didn't know if there was any penetration.
And after you talked to her again, then she had a detail about an incident that had happened a month before, correct?
Correct.
And she described to you what she was wearing and correct what she was wearing, right?
Yes,
And what she said, correct?
correct,
And what he said. Correct?
correct.
Okay. But she never had any memory of any incidents beyond the two that she described, correct? She didn't have any memory.
Correct.
And you've had no contact with any of the parties since that day, is
No,
that correct?
correct.
And your memory is that the mother was present in the room when you were discussing this in the apartment with Mia?
Correct.
Now, when you were speaking to her during this period, did you make any attempt to contact a forensic interviewer, someone trained in forensic interviewing, to come to the scene to conduct the interview?
No, I just notified my supervisor.
Okay, you notified, who's your supervisor?
At that time, I believe it was Corporal Farias.
What are you? And what did you notify him?
I gave him details as far as what the incident consisted of, and he notified, to my knowledge, he notified CID, which is investigators, and they said just to write up the report and forward it to them, and they would look at it, possibly have child safe, do an interview later.
Okay. CID, what does that stand for?
Criminal Investigation Division, I believe, it's investigator.
So. Okay, so there was a way to contact, they could have brought a trained forensic interviewer to the scene, correct? That was possible.
I believe it's through child safe. I don't know if they come out or they have the victims go to them.
Right. But you understand, or perhaps you learned through your training, that the initial interview is extremely important as to developing the what the complainant says, correct?
Correct.
And that it can be tainted if the interview process is not correctly done at the beginning, correct?
I couldn't answer that.
But to your knowledge, there were no trained forensic interviewers present at the scene when the first questions were asked.
Just myself.
And your training was limited to what you testified to.
Correct.
I pass away.
State.
If you know, when a report is made of sexual assault of a child, is the forensic interview the very first step of the investigation?
No,
Okay, would they normally interview the child before or after the first officer to respond to the scene?
after the initial report would be taken.
And do they meet alongside law enforcement, or did they meet separately?
My knowledge, it's separate and
Your Honor, I couldn't hear the question and I may have an objection.
All
Could I
right,
have it
if
repeated?
you could repeat the question.
I asked if this meeting with the forensic investigator took place alongside law enforcement or if it took place separate from law enforcement.
Are we talking about a later? Oh,
We're talking about the interview with the forensic investigator.
Okay.
All right, you can answer the question.
To my knowledge, it's a separate interview with the child alone without law enforcement present.
Okay. And we mentioned, there was a question on cross-examination about the complainant's memory. And whether she had any memory of incidents beyond the two that she reported to you. Your answer was that she did not. And my question to you is, how did you come to the conclusion about her memories?
Can I review it again one more time?
Sure. And
Actually, further, I would object, Your Honor, because that's a mischaracterization of my inquiry. That's not what I asked the officer. I asked him, did she indicate that she remembered any other incidents beside those two? Not whether she had a memory, but just tell him any memory of any incidents other than those two.
Your Honor, I was writing down.
That's overruled. You may answer the question if you have an answer.
You were asking about her memory of the other incidents?
Yes, and I can clarify what I'm asking. So you said on that day, she had no memory of any other incidents. But how would you know that unless you could look into her mind and see every single one of her memories? I guess.
What I did ask her was on the prior, I believe it was in May. I did ask her if she had details on that, and she said that she didn't remember and that she tries to forget.
And did she say anything about this perhaps affecting her, these incidents affecting her, anything related to how they might affect her?
Can I refer it one more time?
Yes, you may.
One thing I recall is that she says that she tries not to remember, she wants to forget it. And that there was a mention that she was talking to a counselor because she was feeling depressed.
And what, if any, level of trauma did she report to you regarding these incidents?
I'm going to object, Your Honor, in terms of level of trauma. I'm not sure if he's talking about a diagnostic category or if he's trained in that area to conduct level of trauma. To me, it's speculative.
Sustained.
Did she report any trauma at all?
She just said that she was traumatized by the experience.
Did she describe a lapse in memory or disassociation?
Yes, well, with her blacking out. That's the only thing I remember.
In what way did she say that she blacked out?
While this was going out, while the assault was going on, she said that she blacked out. And she wasn't able to see at one point, but she could still hear and feel.
Did she say, and I know this is splitting hairs, did she say blacked out specifically, or did she say blanked out?
She said blanked out with her words.
No further questions, Your Honor, pass the witness.
Defense.
You would agree that. Well, that's all I have. Custody.
All right, is this witness excused or subject to recall?
Excuse me.
Is the witness excused or subject to recall?
Subject to recall, Your Honor.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state or the defense. Please make sure you're available if anyone wishes to recall you. Thank you. State, call your next witness.
Your Honor, our next witness is gonna be Ms. Escalante Maria, the mother. We expect that to be somewhat of a lengthy witness.
All right,
Just wanna make
let's
it
bring her
clear.
in. Thank you.
State calls Maria Escalante.
Yes. Oh, yes, most definitely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break. Are you all okay with staying a little late, or do you all wish to recess? Do you all want to discuss it?
Maybe not 7 like yesterday.
Oh, no, the 7, that was because we were doing jury selection. All right, I tell you what, if you all want to go in the back and discuss it, otherwise, we can start again tomorrow. I do have a docket in the morning. The docket we're off the record. Docket in the morning is at 1:30. I'm sorry, at 9 a.m. And so we won't be able to get to the trial until 1:30 p.m. I am anticipating that this trial may end on Friday with potentially with closing arguments on Monday, but it may be sooner than that. So I don't expect this trial to go into late next week. So if that'll help you make your decision on whether or not you all want to stay late. And when I say stay late, I am thinking till 5:30, because as you all know, I don't think it's fair to cut a witness off and not give a person a chance to cross-examine if they so choose. So I'm going to excuse you all so that she can take a break. And we'll come back at 4:20. And remember my previous instructions. All right, everyone, please rise.
Where's that exhibit that you have? Julia,
Huh?
where's that exhibit that you had?
Sorry?
The exhibit. You offered it, so I take it. I admire him, whatever, defense one. I'll need that, okay?
And say, how many more witnesses are you anticipating?
Two at least, Judge.
All right, you can have a seat. We're ready.
All right. For
All right, please be seated. State call your next witness.
State calls Maria Escalante.
All right, you're still under oath. If you state your name for the record,
Maria Cristina Escalante.
state.
Morning. How do you know Juan Garcia Sanchez?
Yes,
How do you know Mr. Garcia Sanchez?
he's my ex-husband.
And where did you two meet?
We meet at a nightclub.
Okay, and after y'all met at the nightclub, did you guys start a romantic relationship?
Yes,
And how did that, about how soon after y'all met did that happen?
after the day that we met, we started going out. And then I got pregnant.
You got pregnant with Mr. Garcia Sanchez's baby?
Yes, Mia.
Did you know that it was his baby from the beginning?
Yes,
How did you know?
I wasn't having sex with anyone else.
And did you tell Mr. Garcia Sanchez about your pregnancy?
Yes, he knew I wasn't on birth control.
And what was his response to you telling him that you were pregnant with his child?
He was surprised. He said, if you have a baby, I want you to name her Camila.
Okay, and did during your pregnancy, was he around?
No,
I'm gonna inject the relevancy, Judge.
All right, what's the relevancy?
Well, the relevancy is going to go to show the background of the mother's relationship with the defendant, how she knows him, and further the defendant's connection with the child, where he was throughout the pregnancy, how involved he was with the pregnancy.
Sustained.
So while you were pregnant, and this child you were pregnant with, what was the name of this child?
Mia, Camila.
And so you have the child. Was Mr. Garcia Sanchez there throughout the pregnancy?
No,
When did
Objection, relevancy, what does that have to do? with it?
Sustained.
okay, were you married when she was born?
Objection. Relevance.
All right, that's overruled.
You may answer.
no, I was not married.
Okay, and when the baby was born, was Mr. Garcia Sanchez present for the birth?
No,
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
When did he start living with you?
this was in 2008
Mhm.
and I would say it was around March 2008.
And Um, did anything happen that caused him to want to live with you and his daughter?
Objection relevance?
I'm sorry, would you repeat the question, please?
Um, when he moved in, was he working?
Yes,
And was he helping you take care of Mia?
yes,
And did y'all eventually get married?
yes.
And when he was working, was there anything about his status that made it difficult for him to find work?
Yes, he was not legally, so he had struggles.
Okay, where was he originally from?
Guanajuato.
Objection, Judge,
Mexico.
relevance?
Sustained.
And did y'all have a lot of money to take care of the family bills during that time?
No, we don't know.
And did y'all have any other children together?
And we have a 9-year-old, Sebastian.
And what's his relationship with Sebastian?
It's a good relationship.
And does he have a good relationship with Mia as well?
No,
What would you say the relationship is like between him and Mia?
very minimal. And no communication. It was a challenging when we were under the same house.
I didn't understand.
It was a challenging relationship when he was living with us in the house.
Was there ever a time where their relationship was good?
When she was about before 5, probably. It was okay.
And did there ever come a time when Mr. Garcia Sanchez was no longer employed?
Yes.
And when he was not employed, what would he do?
Nothing.
And during the day, where would he go?
Objection, Judge, relevance?
I was
Overrule. You may answer.
I was at work. He became injured. 2016. He was not working, but I had no idea what he would do. He would probably was at home or something.
Also, Judge, can she get closer to the microphone? I can hardly hear her.
I'm sorry.
And when you would work, would there ever be times when Juan Garcia Sanchez and Mia were at the house together?
Yes, sometimes, yes.
And what hours would those be while you were working?
The days that they were off of school.
Well, specifically, I want to know the hours that you would work.
8 to 5,
Would that be a normal Monday through Friday?
Monday through
schedule?
Friday, sometimes Saturdays,
Okay,
from 8 to 12 on Saturdays.
okay. And so during these times, while you were at work and while Mr. Garcia Sanchez was at home with Mia, was there anybody else in the home with them?
Sebastian?
Sebastian. In addition to Sebastian and Mia and Mr. Garcia Sanchez, was there anybody else in the home?
No,
And do you have a way of seeing what's happening at the home when you're not there?
No.
Um, how, this all kind of starts with flagging down a police officer. How was the marriage at that time when you thought I need to flag down a police officer and talk about divorce?
Not good.
Can you describe some of the problems with the marriage?
Well, he was injured in 2016. So for 2 years, and he was in intense pain.
Mm.
So that triggered a lot of like he was always at anger, because of the pain. And he couldn't do much. So he was a lot like, then he just say that the pain was intense. So everything seemed to bother him. And on September, is it Memorial Day? September 4th, 2018, I believe is Labor Day. There's a holiday, September. I remember I was off from work, and that day he asked for divorce. So then that happened on September 23rd. So
Hold on a moment. Are you saying that he was the one who wanted a divorce and not you?
he brought it up that day.
Okay.
Yes.
And when you were having these problems, and so did he ever talk about what he would like to see happen with custody of the children if y'all divorced?
Mhm.
What did he say he wanted to see happen?
He said that we will split the kids. He will get Sebastian, and I will stay with Mia.
And speaking of the kids, do you recall the date of birth for Sebastian?
March 18, 2014,
And do you recall the date of birth for Mia?
January 4, 2007.
And did Mr. Garcia Sanchez ever ask you or inquire into whether Mia was menstruating, having her periods?
He inquired on that one on summer of 2018.
What did you make of that?
I'm gonna object, Judge, and calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Did you bring up whether Mia was having her periods or did he?
I did, yes.
You did. Okay. And what did he want to know about it?
Well, Mia, now we know it's an irregular child with her periods.
Mhm.
So back then, she was worried and she brought it up to me. And I believe Mr. Garcia, at that moment, Antonio, my husband, kind of like heard it. So he said, oh, she's not having her period. And I said, no, she says no, but that's all. That's
Okay.
how he brought it up.
During this time, while there were problems in the marriage, did y'all engage in any activities together, go out or go on dates or anything like that?
No, it was minimal due to the schedules that we had and the finances, the struggles financially. That was like, it would be too much. We will go out, we would have to not pay the rent, so the struggles were there financially. So the recreational vacations and stuff like that, we could not afford.
Did Mr. Garcia Sanchez ever say things to you that you felt were verbally abusive?
I want to object, Your Honor, to relevance.
Sustained.
No,
Excuse me, when I make a ruling, if you don't know if you're supposed to answer or not, then let me know. I've sustained the objection. That means that you cannot answer the question.
I'm sorry.
No problem. All right, next question.
So when you would argue, and we won't talk about the subject matter, did they incur in front of Mia or Sebastian?
Sometimes,
Okay. And did Mia know there were problems with your relationship?
yes.
Did Mia, did you think Mia had some opinions on how you should handle the relationship?
I'm just going to object, Your Honor, to speculation.
That'll be overruled. Is there any other objection?
Hearsay, George?
Sustained.
Yeah.
And on the 23rd, when you flagged down, what happened on the 23rd? Of 2018, September the 23rd of 2018, sorry. Do you recall what happened that day?
Yes. Do you?
Sorry, what happened?
Mr. Garcia, I was upset since the day before. So the next day, it was Sunday. He was okay, like nothing happened the day
I
before.
cannot hear George what he's trying to say.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So the day before, I was upset with my husband, ex-husband. And I had to spend the night at my daughter's room. The next day he wakes up happy, like, "Well, do you want to do something? You want to go to the movies? Let's go to the movies. Let's go to breakfast." I'm like, "No, I don't want to do nothing." He's like, "Okay, I'm going to take Sebastian. We're going to go and have breakfast." Like that kind of happy attitude. "We're going to go and have breakfast. If you don't want to come, but you're welcome to come. This is where we're going to be." Okay. I didn't want to go. I'm like, "Okay, but I'm not staying home."
Okay, and so he suggests that that the whole family go to breakfast.
Yes, sir.
And you decided that you didn't want to go.
Correct. I was still upset.
Did you ask Mia if she wanted to go?
I did. She said no.
She didn't want to go.
Correct.
Did he go ahead and go to breakfast with Sebastian?
Yes.
Okay. At that point, you and Mia are alone at the apartment?
Yes. So I decided I wasn't going to stay home. I was going to go visit my mom.
And did you go visit your mom?
No.
Did you attempt to go visit your mom?
Yes. That's when I flagged down Mr. Feliciano. And after that,
So you leave the house. Are you with Mia?
yes,
Where is Mia sitting in the vehicle?
on the back of my seat. On the driver's, on the back, on the driver's, on the
In the back
seat
seat?
behind with the,
Okay.
yes.
And so where is your destination?
My mom's house.
Okay, and what do you see on the way to your mom's house?
Mr. Feliciano's
And
vehicle.
what happened next?
I decided I wanted to ask the question about how does it works when you have a lease? Because we were on the same lease on the apartments. It would work to be separated. What would happen? What rights did we had if one of us would leave the apartment?
And prior to that day, did that discussion where Mr. Garcia Sanchez was suggesting divorce, had that already happened?
That conversation happened on that Labor Day morning. We had that conversation.
And so when you approached Officer Feliciano, what were your concerns specifically? Was it just whether you'd continue to be able to live in the apartment, or were you worried about custody matters? What were your specific concerns?
custody of the kids, divorce, what was the process, you know? If he could just take my Sebastian or my son, you know? So he just said, Mrs. Galante, it's better if you speak to an attorney. Basically, you do have the same, you both are under the same contract, so you both will be liable if you break the lease. Both of you have rights over the kids, because it's both of your kids. Okay.
And did you notice at this point or after this happened, when did you notice, if any, a change in Mia's demeanor?
That day, everything changed. I saw a change.
When you were talking though to Officer Feliciano, did you notice a change in?
I'm gonna object to leading, Judge.
Sustained.
What was Mia doing after you were done talking to Officer Feliciano?
She was crying and she was in panic.
Did she say why?
I'm gonna object to hearsay, Judge.
That'll be overruled. The answer to that question is either yes or no. The question is,
So-
did she say why? The answer is either yes or no.
You can't say what she said, but did she say why she was upset?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And did that cause you to? What did you want to do after you heard that?
I needed to know if I had to make that report. And since he was there already,
And when did you first notice that Mia was crying?
she was the one that said, Mommy. She was the one that actually, since I was driving, right? She's the one that called me and said, Mommy, if you are afraid.
I wanna object to hearsay, Judge.
All right, that's sustained. You're not allowed to say what other people said to you.
Okay.
So when did you notice that she was crying?
When I turned around to look at her,
Okay.
she said, Mommy.
While you were talking to Officer Feliciano, did you notice that she was crying?
Yes,
Did you turn around and look at her at that point?
yes.
Okay. So after that first interaction with Feliciano, did he continue on with his patrol?
Mm, well, we went home.
So remember you flagged him, so the first time was about talking about divorce.
Object to leading.
Sustained.
Times have you flagged out?
How many times did you flag down the officer?
2.
So on the second, after the first time, did he continue on with his patrol before you flagged him down a second time?
Yes.
Without saying what she told you, that second conversation with Mia, did that contribute to you flagging down?
I'm gonna object to leading.
Sustained.
Did you ever talk to Mr. Garcia Sanchez about some of the things you learned in the course of this investigation? So you've talked to Mia about the allegations, correct?
I'm gonna object to leading, Judge.
Sustained.
Have you ever confronted Mr. Garcia Sanchez about why we're here?
Objection leading.
Overrule. You can answer the question.
Yes.
What was his response to you confronting him with what you learned?
It's not true.
Did he offer any explanations?
Leading.
Overrule.
No.
Did he say why he would think, did he hypothesize why she might make an allegation if it wasn't
Objection,
true?
calls for
Your Honor,
regulation in
I
the.
object to the defense interrupting me while I haven't even finished my question.
All right, the objection will be sustained.
Did you ask him if he could hypothesize a reason why she would make that allegation if it were simply not true?
Objection leading.
Sustained.
Did he offer any explanation to you?
No.
If you were told that that the defendant said that the reason why she made that allegation is just because he's too strict, would that?
Objection leading.
Sustained.
And what did you observe about Mia's demeanor once you got back to the apartment?
She was in panic.
Okay, what does that mean that she was in panic?
She didn't even want to see him. She didn't even want to get off she was scared to get off the vehicle.
Hmm.
We both drove back to the apartment after that, along with the officers. And she didn't even want to get out. He was told to stay on the vehicle for us to get in. And she's like, Mommy, I don't want him. I don't
I'm
wanna
gonna
see."
object to hearsay, George.
Sustained.
On Mia's 8th birthday, was she at the home on her 8th birthday? Do you recall?
Did you ask?
Was she at home on her 8th birthday?
The question is, was she at home on her 8th birthday? That's either yes or no.
Yes,
Okay.
Next question.
Did she ever take a trip to Mexico?
we did in 2014 as a family.
Do you recall about how old you would have been on that trip?
He was around 8. Sebastian was born that year. Yes, she was around 7, 8. It was in December.
Who did you visit in Mexico?
His family for the first time.
Ever since the events of September 23rd, 2018, have you noticed a change in Mia's demeanor?
Yes,
What observations would you characterize the change as being?
in the beginning, she was happy. She was more relaxed. She was okay. And then after that, she started to kind of like, how can I say this? Not doing what I was told her to do, like asking, like if I would ask her, can you do some rebellious is the word that I'm looking for, a little bit rebellious.
I'm sorry, what was that word? I'm sorry.
I didn't understand her.
She became rebellious,
Rebellious.
rebellious.
So in your characterization of things, you'd say that after she made her outcry, she became more rebellious.
At first, she was happy. She was more relaxed. She was going out with her friends. She was happy.
Mhm.
She was happy and I'm like, okay, that was good. You know, we have been through changes as a family. But then when I would ask her to do things around chores, remember, before it was mom and dad
Mhm.
asking her to do things, and we will ask her to do chores to make sure that she, in case, we would always tell her, Camila, please learn how to do the dishes, do this, do what we tell you, because one day we don't know if we're gonna come back from work. We might both have an accident, either one of us or something. Something might happen. We need you to know how to do the dishes. We need you to do things. So we will explain her why we want her to do things. So then he wasn't in the house. So then she started now doing what I was asking her to do when he left after 2013, after September 23rd, 2018. That were changes, and those were the changes that I noticed.
And we mentioned chores prior to the outcry. Did you have any problem getting her to do her chores?
No,
Okay, she
she knew what she had to do.
she listened.
She was listening, yes.
So the changes that you observed in living with Mia, when did they occur?
Probably in 2 years after.
Okay,
she
and
started.
oh, sorry.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to stop right here because it appears that if we continue, the defense is not going to get a chance to proceed and have you all leave at 5:30 unless you all want to go past 5:30. Otherwise, we'll stop it right here with testimony. Okay. You don't have to say it. That's okay. All right, everyone, you've heard some evidence in this case. You are not allowed to discuss it amongst yourself or deliberate in your head or deliberate amongst each other. If you see anything, turn it off. Do not listen to it. Do not do any investigation. Everything that you need to know about this case is to come from inside the courtroom. Does everyone understand? All right, we're going to start tomorrow at 1:30. I have a morning docket. And if you make it downtown, probably about 12:15 p.m. To park and then go have your lunch, you'll probably have a parking space because a lot of people go off campus for lunch. All right, everyone, please rise.